everyone, it's Leah, and today I'll be making a funnel snake because this is Polymer Puns, where I make silly puns out of polymer clay. I 3D printed a mold to make the paper plate. Doesn't it look like those cheap paper plates you get at the fair that can barely hold your food? I found a design file for a wedge locking washer, and I just made a couple of tweaks and sized it up. So pro tip, if you're wanting to make mini paper plates out of clay, get yourself some regular wedge locking washers. They look like this, and you can get it at any hardware store. I had to refilm this scene so many times. As you can see, this plate isn't perfect, but it wasn't the one I used in the end anyways. Next up, to make the funnel cake, I rolled out a really wobbly stick of clay. If you're making it even, you're doing it wrong. Society always pushes us to be perfect, but in this case, being not perfect is what makes it perfect. Know what I mean? Also, it being uneven definitely makes this look like intestines, which I guess for a funnel snake, they kind of are in a way. I mean, if it's a food-animal hybrid, then it's kind of part of its body, kind of like how some Pokemon have accessories, but I guess technically it's a body part. Are you meaning to tell me that every Delibird finds the exact same present bag? Also, are they born with it? Like when Abra evolves, does he have to go look for some spoons? I think in the animation, he just evolves with them, which kind of means they're a body part in a way. Anyways, what I'm getting at is the funnel cake is the snake's intestines. I actually had to take off some of the intestines because I wanted it to look like the snake was buried in them instead of sitting on top of them. My polymer puns always remind me of Pokemon. In fact, I've made some Pokemon ones like Snowtaro, Bulbasaur, and Gengarfield. You know, I've been calling them polymer puns, but a long time ago, my friend called them Punimals, and long story not so short, I kind of want to rebrand. What do you guys think? I could do something like Punimal Pals. Is that too cringy? Or I can lean into the cringe and spell pals with a Z. I've had friends tell me they feel weird commenting on my social media stuff, and I'm like, I would love knowing that you're watching. Not my mom and her friends though. They're actually the best at engagement, which is funny because they're the most technologically inept. Sorry mom, but I have to share this story. So a while ago, my mom had one of those pop-ups on her computer that said, "You have a virus, call this number at Microsoft to fix it." So she called and paid the scammers to fix the virus, which you know is fine because a lot of people her age get tricked by this stuff. But the problem is that she fell for it twice. The second time, they didn't ask her to pay, they just needed to log into her computer. She almost didn't believe them, but her boyfriend told her the fact that it was free means they're not scammers. There should be more commercials about this. I guess this is technically it. I wouldn't say I'm awesome at computers, but I am a freak in the sheets. And by that, I mean Microsoft Excel sheets. For my day job, I'm a database manager, and I just love using Excel. For Christmas, I made a Christmas tree in Excel with a macro that makes the lights twinkle, and I sent it to our finance manager. Did you know they have Excel competitions? I know just enough Excel to know that I actually know nothing. Going back to my Punimal here, see, it's catchy. I used some pan pastels to make it look fried. Before I dusted on the pastels, I put on a fresh coat of paint and waited until it was tacky, but not dry. This helps the pastels stick. Normally, I use the pastels on raw, unbaked clay, and I actually just posted a YouTube short that has more information on how to use the pan pastels, so you should check that out if you're interested. It's a great way to make miniature food, which was actually my first obsession when I started using polymer clay. I used to make food earrings, but I still do have a lot of those left that are actually on my Etsy right now. This little guy and his sticker version are also on my Etsy. I forgot to mention earlier, but this piece is actually based on a design by one of my favorite sticker artists, Simabun. I've tagged them below. I saw a video where they made a funnel snake sticker, and I asked her if I could turn it into one of my polymer puns. So at the end of this video, I'll show you the funnel snake sticker I bought from her, along with the final Punimal, or polymer pun, or whatever you want to call it. You can't have a proper funnel snake without powdered sugar. To do that, I took a very old crunchy paintbrush and stippled on some white paint. I wish they sold old scraggly paintbrushes at the store. Well, I guess the thrift store probably does. Well, I know what I'm going to be doing today. I love going to thrift stores. Also, I love going to Home Goods just to walk around. That's our generation's version of those mall walking ladies. I miss when I liked going to the mall. Now it's such a chore, and I live really close to one, although the one by us has all these high-end stores, and I feel like they can smell that I don't have enough money to even grace their presence. It's probably the paint-covered clothes, but whatever. I forgot to film this part, but can you see how the nose and mouth are kind of carved out? I forgot to do that before I baked it, so after it was baked, I put a thin layer of clay over it, blended out the edges, and carved in the features, then baked it again. Speaking of baking, this weekend I had the great idea where my husband and I would cook a pie, and then I'd make a mini version of that pie. I used to work at a pie shop, and the apple crumble was amazing. My friend was one of the pastry chefs, so I asked, and she still had the recipe, and I was so excited to recreate something from the past. But then I looked at how many steps it was, and we just ended up buying one from the store. I did make the little version though. It did not turn out very good. The crumble looks like cat food. I was hoping if I painted the top, it'd look more like crumble, but then I thought, I have bigger fish to fry, or bigger snake to deep fry. So remember earlier how I said this piece was inspired by another artist? It's like a crossover episode. I freaking love crossovers. I still remember my first one. Scooby-Doo meets Johnny Bravo. I had no idea that shows could do that. It opened up a whole new world to me. Does anyone remember the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour? One of the best crossover events in history. iconic. I originally thought about making the tongue out of clay, but I knew it would break if someone bought it and I had to ship it. I used some thin wire and covered the edge with masking tape. I made sure to leave some tape at the end that didn't have wire in it. Then I pressed my nails against the wire to make sure the tape was really stuck together. Next, I used my scissors to trim the tongue to the correct width. To create the fork, I cut out a triangle with my X-Acto knife. Getting it into the correct squiggly shape was a pain in the butt, but I used some round nose pliers and somehow I got the job done. After many tries. Since this funnel snake is strawberry flavored and not blueberry, I went ahead and painted the tongue a pinkish red. Normally I prime my pieces white before I paint them, but these paints are so pigmented, I didn't even need to prime the tongue. Next, I gave this snake a tongue piercing with my Dremel so I could slide the wire right in. Now that our snake is done, it's time for the toppings. Look at how buff my wrists look squeezing out this resin. Conditioning clay is no joke. I have the handshake of a god. I'm also the queen at thumb wars. I added the blood of my enemies to the resin and mixed it up to create my strawberry drizzle. The red looked a little too bright, so I added some drops of purple to make it the perfect color. I don't have a lot of experience with snakes, although I did date someone who had a bunch of snakes. He told me this story that, in hindsight, should have been a red flag. Apparently, he and his ex were fighting, and he drove home, and she went to his house and wanted to talk to him, and she was shouting at his window. And apparently, he had dead rabbits on hand to feed his snakes, so he threw it out the window onto her car. Yikes. But for those of you wondering why I'm flashlighting my snake, this is a UV light and it's used to cure UV resin. I've been using a light box for a while and my pieces would take hours to cure, so I finally bought this strong UV flashlight and it cured within seconds. My whole life up until now was a lie. I cured the drizzle in chunks just to make my life easier, and then I poured on a little bit more, placed my strawberry, and bada bing bada boom, we're done. Time to see the final results. But first, here is Simabun's sticker that inspired this creation. And here's the finished funnel snake. Look how cute he is! Oh. See, this is why I'm glad I didn't use clay for the tongue. But yeah, be sure to check out Simabun's shop for the sticker and my shop for the figurine. Both links are down below. Thanks for watching, and if you have a pun you'd like to see me make, or even a food or animal you'd like to see punified, let me know in the comments.